Before we met, my fiancée Kayla was engaged to a man she had dated for 3 years who died in a traffic accident. I had never dated a woman who had that kind of loss before, so I've been learning as I go, but I've tried to respect that he will always be a part of her story, and I accepted her relationship with her late fiancé's parents with open arms. They stayed very close, and by the time we started dating, they were basically like a second set of parents to her. Kayla's real parents and her late fiancé's parents are all amazing people, so I consider myself pretty lucky to have 2 sets of great in-laws. Our wedding is coming up in May, and Kayla told me that after her father and daughter dance, she would like to have a second dance with her late fiancé's father to the song Vanilla Twilight. She asked me if I was comfortable with that, and I didn't want to be that guy and say no, so I said yes. But really, it makes me uncomfortable that she would be dancing to a love song dedicated to another man at our wedding. I am happy to make space in our lives for his memory. A photo of him is on our mantle at home. We make it a point to commemorate his birthday, the anniversary of his death, and I feel like I am understanding and supportive when she has bad days. I am 100% fine with having his parents at the wedding because, like I said, we are all a family. But I also feel like our wedding is one day that is all about our relationship. Am I the idiot if I ask her to reconsider this dance? What are the best compromises here? Not the idiot. But do any of y'all actually know this song? It's weirdly upbeat, but the lyrics are very, very intelligible and are definitely weird in the context of dancing with the dead ex's dad after getting married to another dude. It's one thing to miss your ex, but I wouldn't want this sentiment being publicly proclaimed by my wife at my wedding if I were in the OP's shoes. Update. 2 months ago, I married the love of my life. A little anticlimactically, the thing I was stressing about was a bit of a miscommunication, which probably happens a lot here. Kayla wanted to dance with her late fiancé's, I'll go ahead and just call him Luke from now on, father at our wedding, and Vanilla Twilight was an example of a song along the lines of what she wanted, not the set-in-stone top choice like I had thought. I, and a lot of commenters in the original thread, spent a lot of time overanalyzing the lyrics for that song, looking for hidden meaning in every word. While it turns out she hadn't put much more thought into the suggestion than, this is a kind of sad song that I like. We got together that night and she had made several playlists of possible first dance songs for us. Songs for when she walks down the aisle, music to play at the reception, and song choices for her dance with Luke's father. We spent hours listening to them all and talking about the wedding. We even made a tournament-style bracket for our first dance song in her journal and put songs head-to-head against each other until the victor emerged. And at the end, we talked about the wedding and our relationship, Luke and their relationship, and grief. What it was like when she lost him, and what it was like for me when I lost my mom at a young age, what a family is, and all the things we're hopeful for the future. We stayed up until 3 in the morning, just talking and planning and laughing and crying a little, and I'm so glad for it. After getting bombarded by dozens of different opinions from dozens of different people earlier that day, I had been worried that I was going to have a conflict with my fiancé shortly before our wedding. But there was no conflict, just a pure memory. After that night, I started putting in more effort to be involved with the wedding planning process and actually ask for the things I wanted, which Kayla actually really appreciated. We also took a long weekend a couple of weeks before the wedding to go on a camping trip together for just the 2 of us, which I highly recommend to anyone who is getting married. Overall, there was a complete flip-flop in my feelings leading up to the wedding, from being somewhat insecure and excited but nervous, to being completely at ease, excited, and feeling stronger about my relationship than ever. The wedding day itself was really wonderful and worth the wait. Kayla and Luke's father had their dance, To Lean on Me, and I also had a dance with Kayla's mom, and it was very emotional, in a good way. I really felt that the day was a celebration of our love, and I was genuinely happy that Luke's parents were there to celebrate along with us, because they are very much members of our family, and I wish I had the space to describe all the ways they've been there for us through the years. My amazing wife is who she is because of all the experiences that she has had in her life. And I don't want to be the kind of man who asks her to pretend that she has never loved before me, or pretend that her grief is something that is, or should be done with forever, now that she has me. I just want to say how glad I am that we shared that night together, and that the wedding was nothing but love and celebration. I never thought I could be so happy. My children are 17 and 14 respectively, and I'm hoping the fact that they're teenagers is the reason for their incredibly crappy behavior. My husband, before he met me, had a wife and a newborn baby that passed away in Canada due to hazardous road conditions that resulted in a 4-car smash-up. No one was at fault. It was a horrific disaster, and my husband was devastated as a result and fell into alcoholism to cope. I had my own trauma from the past, and similarly, turned to alcoholism to cope. It was at an AA meeting where we met, 20 years ago almost to the day, and we slowly started to heal together here in the US. I have always been incredibly respectful of my husband's last wife and child. I like to joke that I'm keeping her seat warm until my husband enters heaven. I've had too much loss and hurt in my life to feel jealousy like this, and to be honest, I am so damaged that I just feel lucky that I got to actually feel love in this world and that my husband could open his beautiful heart to me. We had 2 children, 2 sons. We'd never told them about my husband's wife or baby because it's a part of my husband's life that he keeps under lock and key. He has never healed from his grief, and therapy, etc., has helped him only to a degree. My mother-in-law told the kids this Sunday gone, as she decided it was time for them to know. She didn't consult us before telling them, and certainly didn't do it in our presence. Since then, my sons have been making the most disgusting dead baby jokes. They've been prodding their dad, asking why he never told them, and instead of approaching the topic with respect, they're acting like we've kept a secret family affair from them or something. My 14-year-old went on to say to me in private, thank goodness not in front of his father, that he was glad my husband's previous family was dead. I broke and yelled at him and told him it was the most disgusting thing I've ever heard him say. I asked where his anger was coming from, and he burst forth that we were crappy parents for keeping secrets. He told me that it made so much sense why we were abnormal, why we don't drink, why we are so boring and quiet, why my husband is panicky around roads, etc. The 2 are pretty much heartbroken, and I feel like we have just destroyed a part of our children's life as a result of us staying quiet. I am hurting, my husband is grieving all over again, and I don't know how to proceed. I have and will always reiterate to our kids that they are loved, but this behavior seems so overreactive for the news. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, but your mother-in-law is, for thinking she gets to decide when to tell them. Also, your children have a right to be upset, but that behavior is intolerable. This mother-in-law is toxic. Why parentify these kids with this kind of information? It's difficult to process for adults, let alone teenagers. I'm sure mother-in-law is feeding some more poison in their ears about how their parents held this secret for so long and didn't want them to know, etc., to elicit such a terrible reaction from their kids. So, I got into Cornell last week. Honestly, I think it was a fluke. I'm not smart, at all. I got a 28 ACT, a decent GPA, because my school grade inflates considerably. I had some decent extracurriculars, but nothing remotely competitive enough to get me to a school like Cornell. But anyways, my twin sister is the opposite of me. She's a genius. She has way more impressive stats, 34 ACT, and she only took it once, compared to my 3 times. She has way better grades, way cooler extracurriculars. Everyone always looked up to her as the smart one. I didn't and still don't mind. It's true. The only reason I can fathom I got in and she didn't is that she applied to the engineering college while I applied to the arts and sciences. I don't know if too many of you guys are familiar with Cornell, but they have a bunch of different colleges you can apply to, each with their different admissions criteria. Well, last week, decisions for Ivies came out. Unfortunately for my sister, she didn't get into a single one, including her first choice, Cornell. She checked as soon as it was available and called me bawling. I consoled her and told her everything was going to be okay, that who cares what school you go to, that she was brilliant and she was going to be successful no matter where she goes. Well, anyways, I pretty much resolved that I was getting rejected, so I didn't even bother to look at my email until later that night. Well, I guess surprises do happen sometimes, because I'm a Cornellian. I got in. I just don't know how, but I did. I really want to go, guys, but this would devastate my sister. All week, she's been crying and solemn and sad. She's been angry at all her friends who got into top schools, especially the ones with lower stats. She's decided to go to NYU, but she just hasn't been herself. I haven't told our parents. I think they assume I didn't get in because she didn't. Am I being selfish? Should I just go with her to NYC? We always thought we were going to school together, but it's Cornell. I couldn't in a million years imagine I'd get in. I've been researching obsessively about it, and I can't shake the desire that if I don't go, I'll regret it. Ithaca looks beautiful. It's a small town, which I would love to get away with from the huge city that is New York. It seems like a dream opportunity. Am I being a bad sister? I know she would be upset. We were supposed to go to school together. It would crush her. I really don't have anyone else to talk to. Am I the idiot for going to her dream school, especially considering how much harder she's worked than me? Not the idiot. Do not turn down an opportunity just to spare her feelings. You will likely wind up being resentful and thinking of what might have been. Seriously, congrats. It sucks she didn't get in, but that is not your fault. You did. You earned it. Enjoy. So I decided to tell my sister. Well, she started screaming from excitement and got, not actually, mad that how couldn't I tell her earlier, and she's so proud of me. But seconds later, her excitement just turned to sadness. We went from super giddy to depressed in seconds, and she started bawling, uncontrollably bawling. I tried to comfort her, but she pushed me away and locked herself in her room. I'm going to give her some alone time right now, and we can talk more about it later. Update 2. So my sister sent me a text. It said, "I'm sorry for how I reacted. Please don't be mad. I'm so happy for you and your accomplishments. It's just that after I got rejected, I at least had the consolation that I get to go to school with you and we can be together. But now you're going to be where I wanted to be, and I'm just so sad. I worked so hard and did everything I could to go to the best school I can, and I just feel like all my hard work was just wasted effort. I'm sorry I'm ranting. I just need more time." I'm not going to lie, guys. When I read this, I cried. A lot of you are saying that obviously I have to have attributes that made me desirable, but I really don't. I don't deserve my acceptance. I did my homework between classes, barely studied for anything, took the easiest AP classes available, etc. Meanwhile, I see my sister always taking the hardest classes, studying as hard as she can, always volunteering. She deserves it, not me, and seeing her so hurt pains me. I'm really strongly just considering going to NYU with her. Everyone at Cornell will just be like her, and I don't stand a chance. And I know that if I go to Cornell, we're going to drift apart, which would suck, because we're best friends, and I just don't want to lose my sister. Update 3. So I told my parents, and they did not react how I would have expected them to. First, they tried to insist that Cornell made a mistake between our applications, which would be impossible. If we applied to the same school within Cornell, like we both applied to arts and sciences, then it would be somewhat probable. But we applied to different schools with different admissions committees. They couldn't have mixed them up. Then they went on to explain how I should go to NYU with my sister. I thought it was strange, because they definitely would have supported my sister going to Cornell if I didn't get in. My sister apparently thought so too, because she asked why would I not go to Cornell? And they said how it was unfair that I basically slacked off in high school and was able to go, when my sister was the hardworking one who busted her butt all of school. I don't know if I'm being dramatic, but that hurt. I knew they always thought my sister was the smarter one. They've made it clear multiple times. But to hear them say that I don't deserve my spot sucks, even though they're probably right. I stood there in silence, but my sister stood up for me. She asked them how could they say something so cruel to their daughter, that I 100% have every right to be there, and that they should apologize for being so rude. My parents were shocked, because we're both very passive people, and neither of us ever talked to them like that before. This started an argument, and long story short, we're currently in our rooms. I'm just so thankful to have her stand up for me. I realize that I have internalized a lot of the comments they've made over the years. I'm glad I have my sister, who actually believes in me. I still don't know if I want to go to NYU or Cornell, mostly because I just don't want to go to school without her. She's my best friend, and going 4 years without someone who just thinks so positively about you just seems so long. At the end of the day, I always thought that NYU was going to be the school I was going to, so I wouldn't lose much by choosing it over Cornell. I'm going to talk about it more with my sister and look into both schools more. Okay, a few new thoughts here. Your sister is awesome, but it's understandable she would have feelings about this and be emotional. She will be fine. Give it time. However, your parents are idiots. You will not lose your sister going to different colleges. You will likely become more apart even at the same college. That's just part of growing up. That's fine. You can stay best friends at different schools. The big worry going to the same school is frankly over-reliance on each other, to the detriment of expanding your social circle and meeting new people. It's really easy to just rely on that one bedrock person and not put yourself out there, and that would be doing you and your college experiences a disservice. You're right, it is unlikely a mistake was made given how application at Cornell works. More than anything else, you have to stop being so damn down on yourself. You got into a great school on your own merits. It was not a fluke. They saw something in you that they liked and wanted at their school. This is an achievement. You are not going to be non-competitive there. Stop devaluing yourself, seriously. So later that day, my parents actually came to me and apologized for everything. I know everyone really hated them, but my parents are really cool people. They have flaws, but all humans do. It's not like they spent their free time brutalizing me. They knew I was smart and even encouraged me to apply to schools like Cornell. They just automatically assumed my sister would get in, especially versus me, which if you look at our scores, I can't say they should be blamed. Nevertheless, they realized that they were being jerks and they apologized for making me feel like I'm not as capable as my sister. That they were shocked, but it was no excuse for what they said or how they made me feel, and they love me and apologized for what they said. Anyways, for the moment you've all been waiting for, I decided that I want to go to Cornell. It was such a tough choice and wasn't made without serious consideration, but ultimately, I'll be happier in Ithaca. Plus, my sister is going to try to transfer after our freshman year. If she still wants to go, she may find that she loves NYU after all that time. Whatever she decides, I have no doubt she will be extremely successful. Plus, it'll be good to spend some time apart from each other and grow as people. NYC is only a short bus ride away, so we can definitely see each other during holidays and breaks.